So today, today, I feel like I'm addressing a classroom. Why do I feel like I'm addressing a classroom? I feel like a teacher. I feel like a teacher, y'all. Today I decided, I don't know if you guys do this. I go to sleep listening to podcasts. By the way, how are you guys doing? How are you, Jake? How are you doing? I go to sleep listening to podcasts, and I was listening to this r slash Reddit Ghost Stories podcast out of just sheer curiosity, out of morbid curiosity. I know a lot of people do that. It's not anything unusual, but I know people listen to true crime and stuff like that. I like to listen to ghost stories. Sue me. Sometimes they're really bad and I have to take them off because I actually get scared. But this time, I was listening to it and I was like, why have I never done that on stream? Like, I've never actually gone into it. I've listened to podcasts of people that have like gone into it and they're reacting to it, but I've never actually gone myself into the Reddit thread and seen what's on there because I'm pretty sure there's some shit in there that is probably not safe for YouTube or that's probably questionable. So, so I decided that that's what we're doing today. By the way, I'm literally wearing fucking pajamas that fit me humongous, by the way. um they're too long. They're human. They're really long. I don't know why they're so long. I don't know who they were built for, but they're like this much under my ankles. Like it's actually fucking ridiculous. I can't walk around with them. So we're gonna be sitting pretty much the entire time, which is fine. It's not like I mind. I genuinely don't mind. But part of the reason that I hadn't talked about it was because I usually don't do like I guess dark or like edgy content on my streams. That sounds horrible. That sounds I'm not even gonna address that. That sucks because this VOD is going directly the way that it is on YouTube. So hi YouTube. I'm not dark or edgy. My bad. Sorry. Why does my frog look so depressed? It looks genuinely upset at me. It looks bored. Anyway, um, but but I wouldn't call myself I know that there's like a lot of like spiritual stuff on there. I don't know how much I believe in ghosts, which is ironic considering I go to sleep listening to ghost podcasts. I don't know how much I believe in them. I don't know. I like to like consider myself a healthy skeptic. I like to keep some room for skepticism. Will I say that somebody's lying when they tell a ghost story? Probably not. Probably not because I'm sure that they think that it's actually like I'm gonna try to genuinely, most likely knowing me, I'm probably gonna try to say that there's probably some sort of explanation for each thing that's on there. Probably. Um, but I like to consider myself a healthy level of a skeptic. Though, I don't like subscribe to any religion. I used to. I used to. There was a time when I really did, and I mean, I was kind of thrown into that. I didn't really have a choice. Listen, my grandma, my great grandma was super spiritual. Like the woman literally established a church in her city. She was super spiritual. My grandma was super spiritual. My mom is extremely spiritual. I was kind of like fucking thrown into that at a very young age. So to me, and I think a lot of Mexican Americans can relate to that. To me, the like concept of spirituality and anything like that isn't anything unusual or out of the norm. Like it's definitely not something where I'm like, oh, like this is taboo. I grew up literally. We listen at any cookout. If you go to any Mexican cookout, once the clock hits 12, what most likely is going to happen is that there's going to be uncles and aunts talking about like really weird experiences that they had when they were children. Like that is a very normal thing to do, by the way, which I've heard is a bad thing. I've heard that you can like summon spirits by doing that or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. What do you call them? Like egregores? I think that's what you call them. Maybe you can. I don't know. It'd be cool. Sort of. If it's a chill look, I'm lonely. Okay, if there's an egregore like a lonely spirit, I don't mind a friend. Holy shit, my that was not a ghost. That was my that was my notebook falling. That was my notebook falling. My bad, my bad. Pick this shit up. But I have like I'm not particularly loony about it. Maybe I'm a healthy level of loony, but I've had some really weird experiences where I was like I hate the term empath, but here's an example. Recently, if there's anywhere where I really like felt there's certain places where I can like feel, I know it's gonna sound loony, where I can like feel the energy in the place or like the vibe in the place. You know how you can feel like when it's gonna rain? You can like sort of like feel it in your bones, like you know it's gonna rain. It's that sort of feeling. It's sort of like that. Um and for me, it was there's these two places where I've felt that way. Like, and it's not even particularly in a certain spot of that place, which is the issue. It's like everywhere. And that is Galveston Island and New Orleans. Um and I know this is going to be really questionable, that you would think New Orleans would probably feel a little more active than Galveston Island. No, there is something about Galveston Island that was just insane to me. Like it is just, it's like almost overwhelming. I know a lot of historical shit has happened there. I know that. Um I haven't really like looked too much into it, but the reason that I say I'm a little loony about it is because there, like, I've had weird experiences where I genuinely cannot explain why. Now, I'm a history major. I love history. I absolutely adore history. And when I was in Galveston Island, we were there for like me and my friends, we were there for like, it was one entire day, but like we stayed late night because we went fishing. And there's like this pier, if you guys have not gone, there's like this pier that you can go fishing in. Which, by the way, the fish there are trained. I swear to God, you're not gonna fish shit there. Like, if you're gonna go for fun, because you're not catching fish. Like, they know. I don't know how they know, but like the fish are trained to like eat around the baits and just and just leave. They don't care. It's like a game to them at this point. It's like that one episode of SpongeBob where they're like telling them not to go into that area of the ocean, except these fucking fish will go. They don't care. They do not mind. Um, but sorry, I'm still sick. I know. I know. I'm still sick. Whatever. It's fine. I'll live. Um, but this specific day, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. And I was like, listen, I really wanted to see some historical places. Not necessarily because I knew what was like in the island. I didn't really know. I knew about, there's this ship there that I really wanted to go to, but it was closed by the time that we were done with the fishing, so I couldn't go. So I was like, let's just drive through the city. That's all I want to do. I want to just drive through the city, maybe see some old houses, maybe see some stuff. And so we stopped at this like mansion. It was beautiful, by the way. It was a gorgeous mansion. Later I found out that this mansion is actually called the Moody Mansion. I didn't know. Okay? I had no clue. I didn't know. I thought it was like a museum sort of deal. So when I got off, I was like, can we like stop and actually get off? I want to see it. Like, I want to actually like stay here for a second and see it in person. So I was literally just standing at the fence. Basically like, let me in. No, I was standing at the fence, and I just had this overwhelming feeling of like just fucking lonely. And I'm not saying lonely, like, I know what being lonely feels like. I understand what that feels like, but that was like a different kind of loneliness. It was almost like I don't want to say betrayal, because that's not, it wasn't exactly what it felt like, but it was sort of like a betrayal sort of loneliness. And it was like like it, I don't know how to explain the feeling. It was like a disgusting feeling of just absolute sheer loneliness and like regret. And I didn't know anything about this mansion. I didn't know jack shit about it. I want to like specify that. But I started fucking bawling my eyes out. Like, genuinely, the feeling was so overwhelming. Hi, Jake. The feeling was so overwhelming that I actually fucking started crying. And I couldn't stop crying. My friends were laughing at me, and I was like, fuck you, first of all. Second of all, I don't know why I'm crying. What is wrong with me? I genuinely don't understand why I feel this way. I don't get it. I was like, am I having like anxiety? Like, what is going on? I don't understand it. But like, the feeling that I had was like so visceral that I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to fucking leave that mansion. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave because I felt like I needed to wait for something. I had this feeling that I needed to wait for something. And I was like, okay, that's really weird. I was there for like fucking 15 minutes trying to collect myself. I'm not a crier. That's bullshit. I will cry with every single fucking movie that I watch. Okay. But I'm not necessarily a I wouldn't consider myself a crier. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily a crier. But I started bawling my eyes out, man, and I couldn't explain why. And on the way back, I searched up the address of the place because I was very curious as to why, like, what the fuck was it about that place that made me start feeling that way? Like, maybe I could explain it or something. As it turns out, there was this the Moody Mansion. There was this lady named Narcissa Willis. There was this lady named Narcissa Willis. She was a mother and she had lost her husband, and the mansion was built on the premise of her husband's inheritance. So she took her husband's inheritance and built that mansion. And her kids really resented her for it because her husband didn't want her to build a house for some reason. I'm not sure what that was about. It's just what I remember from the top of my head. Um, but her kids didn't want her to build this mansion, and so she thought that by making the mansion as pretty as possible, that that would like make her kids bury the hatchet and like love her. But they didn't. They straight up like estranged her from the family. Like they cut her off. And so she didn't have any contact with her kids in her last days, and she lived a pretty lonely life for the last bits of her days, which was crazy to me because the feeling that I got when I was there after reading that, I was like, "What the hell?" Like, honestly, what the hell? I didn't have any words. I didn't say anything about it. I was just kind of like silent the entire ride home because I was trying to process what the fuck that feeling was. It was genuinely like probably one of the worst feelings that I've ever felt in my life. Not even in New Orleans did I feel that way. Um, by the way, not funny story. I was gonna say funny story, but no, not really funny. When I was in New Orleans, I love that place. I love New Orleans. I think it has such a nice energy that it's just it's wonderful. Like I love it. It also has its dark energy obviously, but it's like it's just the people there, the culture, it's just so much like vibrancy. I don't know how to explain it. Um it's so much vibrancy. But I could not sleep when I was there. Eating tamales, invite me, involve me immediately, please, thank you. I would highly appreciate it if you involved me in that. Um, what was I saying? Hold on, I want to get chat on screen because I do not have it on screen for some reason. Don't know why. Do not know why. Okay. Uh. Anyway, when we were there, the first couple of days, I could not get to sleep. Which is dumb. Honestly, sincerely, it's pretty stupid to not be able to sleep just because you're in a certain place. I attributed it to it being like a hotel, and so it was like a different bed and maybe I wasn't used to it. But like I just kept having nightmares the entire time that I was there. So that was great. And it wasn't like I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like nightmares. It was like just really vivid dreams is what I'm trying to say. And it was like different people that I've never met before, and it was seeing what they did with their life. It was weird. It was very weird. Um it was interesting, but still very weird. I couldn't actually get a good night's rest while I was there. But the first the first day that we went down to downtown, because I was there for a week and we only went to downtown once that entire time. I was there for a week. We went to downtown. I went to downtown, and the literally 6 hours after I left, somebody got murdered in the street that we were in. So that wasn't great. That wasn't fantastic. I didn't want to go home that day. My parents had to convince me to leave because I genuinely didn't want to. And I was like, I like this place. It's beautiful. It's amazing. They've got beignets, they've got music. It's amazing. But would I live in New Orleans? No. It floods really badly. I will say that. I am so sorry to the people who live in New Orleans who have to put up with that. That is you're probably used to it because they've lived there for a long time. They're probably used to it, but that is definitely something to consider if you're thinking about moving there. Same thing with Galveston. But I don't know. I love Galveston. I would love to visit again. I would love to actually see like the historical places. I didn't get to do that. I wish I had, but I didn't get to do that. And so that's something that I do very much regret not getting the chance to do. Um but but actually there was a weird thing that happened to me while I was in Galveston. I was at a Pizza Hut. We were at a Pizza Hut. I still feel bad. I still feel bad. I don't know why I'm smiling. I still feel bad. There's I was sitting I'm a nosy person by nature, by default. I'm nosy. I like to be in everything. I like to know everything. So I was facing the street, like facing the ocean front. Um and there was this man that was coming out of the building next door to the Pizza Hut, and he was holding something in his hands. But but he opened the door with like all his strength. Man like hulked out opening that door. Like I thought that thing was gonna fly off the hinges. He like slammed it, the door slammed against the glass of the Pizza Hut, and it came back and smacked him, and he was holding food, and he fucking dropped his food, dude. He dropped his food, and what hurt me wasn't the fact that he dropped his food, which that was really sad, but it was the fact that he turned around to see if anybody was looking at him. And I was fucking sitting there like, not because I was laughing at him, but because I was genuinely like, fuck, I just got caught. Like, I just got caught in 4K being nosy. And I think he genuinely thought I was laughing at him. And I still feel bad about that. I still feel horrible about that. Poor man. He didn't do anything to deserve that. That was probably a horrible day for him. I hope he's doing well. I hope he's doing well for wherever he is. I hope his pillow is nice and cold. I hope his blankets are warm. I hope his towels are warm. Um, actually, no, he's in Texas. I hope they're cold. I hope they're freezing cold. But regardless, I wanted to see what I could find on r/Reddit ghost stories. Please be patient with me. I've never done this on stream. I've never done this in general. I've never gone into r/ghost stories. So I'm not even sure what I'm expecting to see. Um, I have like a 50, I have an idea of what might be on there. But if I'm too scared, if I can't sleep tonight, I'm blaming it on you guys. Genuinely, I will be blaming it on you guys, and I will be posting Instagram reels on repeat just to keep myself occupied, because there's no way in hell. There's no way in hell I'm going to sleep if I'm scared, dude. I can't. Like, it's just not in me. I cannot do that. Okay. So, should we lower the music? Should we lower the music for this one? Should I do, whatchamacallit? Should I do a voiceover? What is it called? Voice mod. Can we? Do we have it? Do we have the app? Do we have the app? Yes or no? Installing update immediately. Uh, okay. Weird voices. Thanks. Thanks, I guess. I appreciate it. I think it's this one. Is it this one? Ooh, it is not using the correct microphone. That was really bad. Okay. Um, so okay. Okay. Um, it's just gonna make my voice slightly different. Not too different, just slightly. Okay? Okay. Alright. Let's see. I wanna sneeze so bad. Um, where the fuck is my microphone? Oh, here it is. Properties. Okay, so I'm gonna do my voice whenever I'm doing my voice, and then I'm gonna do a lower pitched voice to actually read them. So that's what we're gonna do. That's how I'm gonna differentiate it a little bit.
Um, Starting with the first one, I saw my brother 2 weeks after he passed away.
Immediately, no. Immediately, no. I I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about it. but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Um, let's see. Let's see. Properties.
Okay. Um, just so that all of this makes sense. Sorry. Back in March of 2008, I was a 14-year-old and my life was pretty typical and boring as I grew up on a very small island in a very, very, very small town. Just so this all makes sense of how everything happened, I have to add that my brother, who was 17 in 2008, had gotten sick and spent 6 months in the hospital for sick children in Toronto. He's Canadian. Back when he was 15. He had a rare and serious infection in the lining valves of his heart called endocarditis, and at 15, he had an emergency open heart surgery to remove a football sized bag of pus from around his heart. Prior to his heart problems, no one had any idea that he was even sick until one evening he said that he didn't feel well, and my mom could see his heart beating so fast that she could see it through his shirt. Oh, damn. Which obviously prompted a very fast drive to the hospital. He refused to let my mother call an ambulance. To make a long story shortish, when he arrived at the hospital, he was immediately airlifted to the hospital for sick kids in Toronto for emergency open heart surgery, and after spending 6 months in the hospital recovering from major surgery, he came home. Fast forward to March 17th, 2008. My school bus was about to drop me off at home when I noticed an ambulance in my driveway. I got off the bus and made my way to the house with no urgency in my step as my mom was a care worker for a teenager who had a feeding tube, on top of a list of other health problems, so I assumed it was a typical visit from ENTs for him. Once I got inside, my mom proceeded to tell me and my foster brother, that my older brother was sick again. She didn't give details and she didn't want to scare us, but she probably wasn't expecting it. But I pushed past her and made my way down to the hall to his bedroom. As soon as I poked my head in, I seen three EMTs working on my brother. He only had a pair of shorts on at the time, no shirt. This is a key detail, I promise. The EMT screamed for someone to get me out of there, and I was dragged out. My foster brother and I went in my mom's room and closed the door at the request of the EMTs. Um, After they took him out on a stretcher, my mom and stepdad followed behind to the hospital. Not much time passed, and my mom and stepdad returned home and told us the soul crushing news that my brother didn't make it. Over the next week and a half, everything was a blur. How am I supposed to come to the stream if you keep starting at 3 or 4 a.m.? It is 12:58 right now. Listen, listen. Right now specifically,
This is probably the best I'm doing so far, okay? I'm keeping up. Eventually I'll start doing 7, but I'm trying to keep up, all right? I'm trying to keep up. Um and the VOD will be posted, so if you didn't get to see the beginning, that's going to be on YouTube later. Um Where was I? Over the next week, and a half, everything was a blur. About a week and a half after my brother's funeral, I was in my mom's bedroom by myself. A family friend was over with my mom, and they were talking at the kitchen table. As I was sitting on my mom's bed, I turned and looked out at her open bedroom door, and my deceased brother walked past her door, as if he was heading towards the kitchen area. I was stunned, but didn't say anything to my mom. I didn't want to hear her cry more than she already was. After this happened, I didn't plan on telling her for a long time until a few months later. I was sweeping the floor in my kitchen, or in the kitchen. My mom's friend was over, and I overheard my mom tell her friend that my aunt refused to stay at our house anymore, while her house was under renovation due to the fact that she woke up one morning, and when she opened her eyes, my dead brother was 2 inches from her face, staring at her. Oh, oh, that's lovely. As soon as I heard her say someone else had seen him, I started to cry, and I told her what I'd seen. When I seen him, I told her that he was wearing black shorts, a white polo type shirt with orange blue stripes. Her face immediately went white, and she told me that's exactly what he was wearing when he collapsed and passed away. I've experienced a whole lot more, but this is the one story that still gives me chills when I think about it. My mom still lives in that house that my brother passed away in, and when I go home, I refuse to even go there due to all the crazy shit I experienced. That is crazy. That is insane. Yeah, but I mean yesterday, my bad. That's on me. That's genuinely on me. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. I promise. I'll fix it. We're reading about r/slash ghost stories. That is actually crazy. I mean, but that's kind of sweet, except for the part where the brother is 2 inches from his aunt's face. That's a little weird, but other than that, that's really sweet. That's kind of hope core, if anything, maybe a little bit. Um, ooh, as a paramedic, that is terrifying. I need to read that one. Paramedics and nurse staff and hospital staff, they have the craziest stories, dude. Like they have I have never I have yet to meet a doctor who doesn't at least somewhat believe in ghosts or hasn't at least had somewhat of a paranormal experience. Um, so let's read this one. Paranormal experience as a paramedic. I work as a paramedic, and up until recently, I didn't believe in ghosts or spirits. I got a call around 10 p.m. at night, concern for welfare. Happens all the time, usually in the warden controlled properties, as they have falls all the time. My colleague wanted to live stream her kids before bed, so I said I'd go into the property on my Todd. What's a Todd? What's a Todd? And call her if I needed backup. I knocked on the door, met by an old man who asked why I was there and said he pressed his care call alarm by mistake. I asked if he wanted checking over, to which he responded that he had issues with his blood pressure, so may as well while I was there. Directly from the front door was the bedroom. The light was on, and there was a woman sat up in the bed. She looked at me, but didn't say anything. I assumed she had dementia, so I just left her to it. We walked into the lounge and I did my assessment. After my assessment, we got into small talk, weather, what he used to do for a living, etc. Then I asked him about his wife and how long they had been together. He responded that they had been together for 40 plus years before she sadly passed 4 years ago. Then I apologized and I said at least it was nice that he had another woman to share his bed with. He then responded back with, "What woman? I live here alone." I was like, "So who was the woman in his bed?" And then he replied, "Fucked if I know, mate." Honestly, great reply. Great reply. Great reply. I asked if he could show me a picture of his missus, and I shit you not, there she was, the woman, albeit a bit younger, in the picture with him. I walked out of the room and he looked in the room again and she wasn't there. That's crazy. That is crazy. I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of that house. I then proceeded to be dead silent for the rest of my shift, so much that my colleague went to management as she thought I was totally out of character and that I was suffering with PTSD. They didn't believe me when I told her the story. That is crazy. You're really taking the journalist role seriously. I am. I am, in fact, Mrs. Pepper, I am. It was called La Rumorosa y los Aparecidos. I've heard of that book. I've heard it's a great book. I haven't read it. I probably should. I should translate it. I've heard it's a really good book. I've heard a lot of shit about that street too. For the English speakers, La Rumorosa is a street in Mexico, which is known for being like a really dangerous street to traverse because it's like in these like mountain areas. And so there's always like, and it's like loopy. So you're literally driving up a mountain and there's hard, like if you fall, if you accidentally get in an accident, you're dead. Like that thing is gonna drop you into a ditch. Like there's no way you're making it out of that. It's a really high street. It's a really dangerous street. And then there's always like rocks falling randomly from the mountain. So like it's extremely dangerous. And a lot of people say that they see like weird shit happen there all the time, or they'll like see ghosts, or they'll have people trying to hitchhike and stuff like that. I don't know. I've heard a lot about it. Even the men who the truckers are afraid of passing through that street, and all the truckers agree that there's something wrong with that street. So if there's a street that I want to avoid for the rest of my life, it would be that one. It would definitely be that one. I should probably do a video on it. It'd probably be interesting. It would probably be interesting. That's insane. Did you tell a patient you saw his wife? How'd he react? I mentioned that there was a lady that looked a lot like his wife in his bed, and he just looked at me like I'd gone a bit mad. But I'll be honest, I was just spooked and I wanted to gather my equipment and go. I kind of just played it off as I must be going insane. I mean, I guess that's the reasonable thing to do. What can you do in that situation? Like, hey, buddy, I think I just saw your dead wife chilling on your bed. Like, what do you do? Genuinely, what do you do? What is the proper way to approach that? And like, what if the person is still grieving and they have like a bad reaction where they're like, get the fuck out of my house, you're insane. Like that is I don't know what the exact correct reaction to that would be. I don't know if I would tell them. Why do I avoid it if I'm ever able to if I'm not even able to drive a truck. Sorry, if I'm ever able to drive a truck, I would drive there. Why would you? Why would you drive there? Do you have a death wish? Hey buddy, your wife is to die for. Get the fuck out of my house immediately. Yeah, no. He brings out a shotgun. He's like, "Yeah, no, we're done. We're done here. Please go ahead and exit. The door is that way." Um. Ooh. Oh no. Fuck no. The title in that one. My son is talking about ghosts. Throw the kid away immediately. Throw the child away. Have you ever considered Have you ever considered giving him away to like your siblings or something? Maybe, perhaps, mayhaps. That is not. See, this is why I don't want to have children. This is terrifying to me. This is scary. Why would I want to see? Why would I want to know that? That is horrifying. That is genuinely horrifying. Um, my son is talking about ghosts. Been thinking about this a fair amount the past few days, so I thought I'd see what y'all think. My son is almost 3 years old. Oh, and he's three? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Christ. And he's three. No, no, oh, throw the kid away. Reset him. Is there a reset button? He will just randomly bring up ghosties, and when we asked him about it, he gets worked up and is scared. He talks about not liking them, and if we ask if he's seen any, he will never give us a straight answer, saying yes at times and no at times. Just today, for the first time, he said he was scared of the dark. We tell him not to be scared because mommy and daddy will always keep you safe no matter what, and we pray over him each night before bed as well. The thing is, I don't necessarily believe in ghosts, but I do believe in spirits, good and bad, and I 100% believe that there are things that some people see and others don't. Now, the part that confuses me is that we've only talked about ghosts maybe 3 or 4 times. Okay, maybe that maybe that explains it. Maybe that explains it a little bit. During Halloween, and I think he saw it on a TV show or something. That being said, his recall memory is incredible. He can remember stuff from last year. He literally has a better memory than I do, and I'm trying to wrap my head around what all this means and how to help him not feel scared anymore. I also don't want to be a moron parent in every single horror movie and disregard what he's saying because he's just a kid. That's reasonable. That's yeah, that's fair. That's yeah, that's probably the best idea. Need advice on how to help him and if I should do anything in his room or our house. Call a priest. Call Dr. Phil. Call Oh geez. Who do you call? Fucking Ghostbusters? Who do you call? What do you do in that case? What do you do if and it's your child? Like you can't get rid of it. That's not how that works. I think that's like probably one of my biggest fears, dude. I think that is genuinely one of my biggest fears. I am no, we're not. I believe the kid. Honestly, I believe the kid and that's the problem. Wait, what? Oh, this is a different person. Hold on. I want to see that. I want to see that. I feel like at 3 if he was seeing anything paranormal, he wouldn't necessarily know that they're ghosties. That's a fair point. And would just describe the thing he was seeing or that was scaring him. When my oldest was between 2 and 3 and still the only child, we lived in a place that was odd. His room was off the living room and that room had a big built-in bookcase, except the bookcase was actually on these old hinges and you could open it and there was a small room behind it for storage, I guess. It was a super old brick apartment building. My bedroom was down the other end of the hallway past the kitchen, and bathroom. So we had wood floors, so we could hear his footy PJs shuffling. That's so cute. Shuffling down the hallway if he woke up at night or in the morning to wake us. Except sometimes we would hear the shuffling and there would be no one there. That's no longer cute. That is no longer cute. And then he started sleepwalking. Nope, nope, not cute anymore. Not even a little bit. No, no. Um, he would be in a trance just standing in the hallway. Oh, fuck no. And wouldn't say anything or acknowledge us at all. And we would just put him back to bed. He started wanting to play in the book room behind the bookcase. Big no from me, as it creeped me out. There was no windows or anything in there, but it was always freezing cold, like cold air would blow out whenever it was opened. He started talking about another little boy being in that room. Fuck no, no. And that he was scared of him while sleeping. Oh, sorry, and that he scared him while he was sleeping. We had a room spray that we called monster spray that I dilute with water so he could spray it in all the places he saw the boy before bed to keep him away. And it kind of gave my son a little power over whatever he was manifesting, real or imagined. I think I think it sort of had something to do with okay, so here's the thing. In witchcraft, um the friends that I've had that practice that, they've said that it doesn't matter what you use necessarily for it. It's more about like the intent behind it. So if that kid genuinely believed that was monster spray, it probably helped. If that is real, it probably helped for that reason. But again, I like to be a little bit skeptic because I don't like to be 100% loony. The stream feels like when my mom let the radio on by the night listening to Caluman. Oh, that's great. I love to listen to like that kind of podcast to go to sleep. Not a dead wish, but imagine a guy or a lady asking for a ride talking about their life and you figured out it's that they're dead and that you're all alone. That is horrifying, dude. That is actually terrifying. I saw a video about that. I might play it on stream sometime. And that was actually I don't know how I feel about it, but it was basically this group of people or this group of guys who let some older man hitchhike with them and he was literally just by the side of the like he looked like a normal man coming home from work, whatever. Um and he was in the back and like you could hear the guys trying to joke with him. They were genuinely like just having a conversation with the man. Like it was a normal conversation. It wasn't like they were freaked out or anything. And like there was like random comments about how it's all cold and they're like, "Okay, like where do you want us to take you?" And he's like, "It's just a little bit farther ahead. Like just go a little bit more that way." And he's like, "You're going to go all the way to the end until you see some trees and then you're going to turn left and it's going to be like this dirt road and just keep going. But I need you to take me there. I need to go there. I really need to be there." And like the man, the hitchhiker kept repeating that he really needed to go to this place. Like he really needed somebody to take them there. And he almost like didn't believe it. He almost didn't believe that they were actually helping him. So he was like, I've been waiting for like a really long time for somebody to actually take me there to actually give me a ride. Like it's been a while. But he never specified the like time frame. And then once they got there, dude, the guys kept saying like, I don't know, I feel cold. Like, why were you out there like in the dark so long? Who were you waiting for? Whatever. And he's like, I was just waiting for anybody. Like, I just wanted somebody to give me a ride. They get to the end of that dirt road, and on the left side, on the left side, there's a literal grave. Like, there's an unmarked grave with just a cross on it. That's it. An unmarked grave. And at the end of the road, it's just like a fence. So the only reason these people stopped there specifically is because that fence was there. So they turned to him and they were like, "Oh, like, do you want to open that for us? Or like, do you have the key for that? Whatever." The guy was gone. The guy was gone after that. He literally straight up disappeared. And that is when the guys started freaking out and they started yelling. And the thing is, it was like a live stream. They did this on live stream. So you can and it sucks because on the camera you see the guy, like you can see him there. I don't know if it was fake, but they literally got off the car and they started walking around it to see if maybe the guy got off and they just didn't notice or whatever. Like they opened up the back of the car, they literally looked through the entire car and the guy wasn't there. Like he was just gone. And I think that is the one post that I've seen where I was like, I don't know. I genuinely don't know what happened there. I don't have an explanation, especially because they were acting so chill about it. Like they were not scared at first at all, not even a little bit. So that was really concerning to me at least. Or I want to know if it's true. Uh that maybe the drivers imagine it because that's a good reason why drivers would imagine that maybe the truckers imagine that they're seeing like these people because of bad sleeping or like some drugs that they take or whatever, medications maybe. I don't know. That's actually a really good theory. That's happened to me. Like I've hallucinated horses when I was driving without sleep. I hallucinated like horse carriages on top of my car. So yeah, like that can happen, especially in the dark, especially at night. So that is common. Where was I? My bad, my bad. I got carried off with that story because it genuinely intrigued me. My bad. Um, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh right, the monster spray. Um, we ended up moving out before the end of the year lease due to a bunch of family issues, and I had a miscarriage there. It just started to seem like it had so much bad juju that was in the place, and the property managers were super sweet about us leaving early. And it seems like a lot of people didn't make it there very long, apparently. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Long-winded reply to say, just ask your little one what he sees. If you get if it's nonsense answers, I would just say it's just the mind being a bit overactive. Yeah, if not, cleanse the house, use some incense, sage, palo santo. Yeah, that would be the proper thing to do. Right, right, right. Light a candle, let the light touch every corner of the house, leaving no darkness. I'd never heard of that method. That's nice. Um, say a prayer. Yeah, Yeah, that seems right. That seems right. That seems about right. I don't believe in the paranormal or ghosts, but I can't explain this. Love that. Love that. Did I just summon myself? Hold on, I need paper. I'm dying, guys. I'm still sick. As a skeptic person, I'd like to see it. Me too. I feel like if there was something that I really would like to do with my YouTube channel eventually, maybe when I'm older, um I would probably love to like go to ghost hunting places to try to debunk it. I would love to do that. I would love to do that. But I feel like I would start crying, dude. Like I feel like I would listen to the stories of these people and start crying. But I'd like to go without any prior knowledge of what that place is. Like I don't want to research it. I want to and this is why I'm saying when I'm older because I'd like to have somebody research it for me so that I can go without knowing anything about it. And then it'd be actually exciting for me to do. Have you ever watched the Dross videos about the 911 calls? Those are terrifying. Yes. Dross's voice. Uh Also for you guys that don't know, for the English speakers, Dross is a horror. I think you would call it that. Sorry. I'm southern. I'm sorry if that sounded wrong. He is not a horror. He is a horror. He is a fuck. He is a horror content creator, right? Right? Horror YouTuber. Okay? He's a horror YouTuber and his videos are very like his voice is just it's creepy. It's creepy. It is the type of videos you do not want to listen to at night because he is not chill about it. Like he is very good at what he does. He's extremely good at what he does and it's terrifying. Genuinely terrifying. Hold on. Um Not bad. Also, you guys like my pajamas? They're huge. I love them. They're humongous. They're humongous. Okay. Um Fucking canceled for calling Joss a whore, allegedly. There goes my career, guys. Never gonna be a horror YouTuber. Damn it. Alright. Also, if the YouTube captions happen to automatically put that like as horror instead of horror, let me know. I would love to know. I would love to know if it's just in my mind or if I genuinely sound horrible saying it. I want to know. I'm curious. I like to watch it, but the 911 calls are special because it's something real from the real world. Bad people are everywhere, and also some weird things. My grandpa used to say, "Don't be scared of ghosts. Be scared of real people. People are actually scary," and I 100% agree with him. Except for, listen, I've had some weird experiences in this house. This is my mom's house. I've had some weird experiences in this house, so I don't want to talk about it here because I felt like when I did, it like made it so much worse. Like I don't know. It might be loony. I don't want to give it any power, but maybe when I move out, maybe when I move out, I would love to talk about all the shit that I've experienced here. It's been calm recently, so I don't want to jinx it. Um, but the things that I've experienced in this house are insane. And the fact that there was actually a reason about it that my mom never told me until much later. Yeah. Anyway, she found bones, y'all. She found bones and she didn't say anything with clothes. Where was I? Don't believe in the paranormal or ghosts, but I can't explain this. I've been trying to find a rational explanation for this experience for years, and I still haven't been able to. My aunt had just moved into town with my two cousins, who were both under 15. At first, everything seemed completely normal. Then one day, they came over to our house crying. I don't know why I have Reddit on the screen. I might not do that. I might not do that. Um, then one day, they came home crying. Where am I? Crying, insisting that their new home was haunted. They were both under 15. Okay. My aunt just laughed it off and brushed it off as their imagination. One of my cousins claimed that she kept seeing a face of a young boy staring at her from the bedside? From beside the bedroom light switch. Oh, my bad. Oh. Oh, that's not good. I thought for a second I was like, maybe she's seeing it from the window, but no, no, no. From beside the bedroom light switch. I didn't think much of it. Kids imagine things all the time. About a week later, though, my aunt decided to move out of the house. This time she agreed with my cousins. She believed something was wrong with it. Not long after, we went over to help them move, and on the drive there, one of my cousins told me that the paint on the bedroom wall had peeled away in the way that looked like the devil killing an angel. That's weird. At that point, I was genuinely curious to see it for myself. This was the first and only time I ever went inside that house. When we arrived, it looked like something straight out of a haunted movie. The house itself looked like an ordinary family home, but the grass was completely dead. The tree in front of the yard had no leaves, almost like a skeleton, and the crows sat on the branches, cawing, looking back. Maybe it was just my expectations, but the entire place felt eerie. Could have been. Could have been. What if it was fall? What if it was fall time? As soon as we walked inside, my younger cousin told us that she had been scratched on her back the night before. Oh. We looked and she really did have several large scratch marks across her back. They didn't own any pets, so I wasn't sure what could have caused them. Eventually, I made my way into the bedroom to see the peeling paint for myself. To me, it looked like some creature with ragged wings diving towards the ground while dragging down a child with angelic wings. Maybe the description I heard beforehand influenced what I saw. Our brains are good at finding patterns, exactly, where none exist. Even so, the shape looked surprisingly intentional, like if it had been peeled off that way deliberately and not just by chance. Okay. While I was standing there staring at it, my mom suddenly screamed from another room. I ran to the garage and found her on the floor. Oh! She said that she had felt something push her from behind as she walked in, causing her to fall. She also claimed that she heard what sounded like a little girl laughing. Oh no. Burn the house. Burn the house, dude. No. Personally, I think she probably tripped and interpreted as being pushed. That's fucked up. If your mom is telling you I was pushed, I heard laughing, I would say you believe your mom. Buddy, like, I think you can differentiate the feeling of being pushed from the feeling of tripping. I think you know when you trip. I think you would know, and most of the time you're able to catch yourself too. Anyway, where was I? Personally, blah 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 blah. As for the laughter, it was an extremely windy day, and the garage door was moving around quite a bit. I think it's possible that the sound came from the door instead. Example in my comments. Okay. Sometime later, my mom spoke with the family who had lived in the house before my aunt, and according to her, they also believed that the house was haunted. The strange part was that they described seeing the exact same thing that my cousins had, which was a young boy's face. Oh shit. Oh, staring at them from beside the bedroom light switch at night. Could it have simply been something that near the switch that resembled a face in the dark? Maybe people's brains filled out the rest. I was never able to fully explain what happened there. I don't think it's the paranormal, but there were so many strange things occurring that it's hard not to wonder. What do y'all think? I think first of all, believe your mom. I think it's nice that you try to excuse it, but at least give her some credit, dude. Don't just be like, I think she just imagined it. I think my mom's crazy, actually, as a matter of fact. Ooh. Moved into a house with a cemetery. Why would you do that? Okay, I actually want to read into this because I don't think that by default cemeteries are haunted. I know that's a hot take. I don't think they're haunted. I think they are really peaceful places. Like if there is somewhere that I go to and I genuinely feel peace, it's a cemetery. And I know it's a little weird, but if I'm like feeling down or if I'm having like a you know how people are like I like to like connect with the earth to feel better or I like to go swimming or go meditate under the sun, whatever. For me, it's going to a cemetery. Like my reset is going to a cemetery. That genuinely, I don't know what it is about it, but they're just such peaceful places to me. Um I've been to some that I can say or I've been to one that I can say was haunted. And we actually recorded it, but the recording was wiped from the camera, so I don't have anything on it. And I like I said, I eventually want to get into that content. Eventually a long time from now. I would love to like look into it. Um just out of morbid curiosity, I think. Not as like my main content, but just out of morbid curiosity. I remember when I was like 11, I listened to a child crying outside of my house. I live in a very small, familiar ranch. So that was like 20 houses. There was like 20 houses there, and mine was next to a fallout land. So it was really weird to listen to that coming from there. I used to stay alone all weekend, and by the night, my mom used to go to some hair cutting class and she would stay out for 2 days, and my dad used to work by the night every day. I was never afraid, but it was weird, and my black dog was always with me. Would your dog bark? Did your dog bark? Because that's where I'm like, if a dog or a little kid dude starts crying and like pointing at something, I'm out. Immediately, I'm leaving. I don't care what it is. It might as well be radiation. I don't care. I am leaving. They are crying and they are alerting us for a reason. That's all I gotta say. They know something we don't. And if they keep doing it repeatedly, oh fuck no. No, burn the house. Burn the house. They know something, dude. I swear they know something. But this is weird. This one caught my attention specifically because of that, because it says moved into a house with a cemetery, 6 weeks later we left. Which again is weird because a lot of the time I feel like if there were ghosts at cemeteries, they were very peaceful. But most of the time there isn't any ghosts at cemeteries. Anyway, um when I was about 5 years old, we moved into an antebellum. Oh, okay. Okay, pause. There is the actual reason. There you go. That is why your house was haunted. It wasn't really the cemetery, buddy. It was what possibly was in the cemetery, but whatever. Um we moved into an antebellum farmhouse in rural Alabama. Are they trying to make me Are they trying to make my accent come out? Is that what's going on here? Rural is a hard word. Okay, rural. How do you say it? Rural Alabama. Fuck. A farmhouse in rural Alabama that whatever that had this old family cemetery in the backyard. The cemetery was surrounded by a decrepit wooden fence and had a dozen or so tombstones that looked like they were falling over. My bedroom was on the second floor, and my bunk bed gave me a perfect view of the cemetery out back. One day, while my father was at work, my mother took my sister and went to the grocery store. I was left alone in my bedroom upstairs. For context, this was in the 80s, y'all. A while after they left, I heard, yep, that's Alabama. A while after they left, I heard my grandmother's voice call my name from the living room. My grandmother lived in the next state over, so I was surprised to hear her. I thought she must have come to check out our new house, so I bolted downstairs to the living room expecting to see her, but nobody was there. I peeked through the blinds to check the driveway, and there were no cars. I ran upstairs and continued playing with toys, not thinking much about what happened. Not thinking much about what happened? What? A few nights later, I woke up in the middle of the night, and when I opened my eyes, there was a silhouette of a person standing at the head of my bed. Fuck no. No. No, 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 no. The silhouette was almost like a light blue version of the white noise on old TV sets. Like a blue, like a light blue version of the. Okay. Okay, I can imagine that. Um, but I could see through it, if that makes any sense at all. I went to scream for my mom, but nothing came out. I tried over and over again, but my voice wouldn't work. All the while, the silhouette figure stayed there. I don't remember what happened after that, but I never talked about it afterward. A couple of weeks after this experience, my parents packed up our things and we moved to a different house in the next town. My parents had passed away since then, and my sister was too young to remember anything, so now I'm stuck with these memories and a lot of questions. As an adult, I wondered why my parents never said anything, and if they had ever experienced anything. That's why maybe they left so quickly. If there are any paranormal aficionados out there, any idea of what the silhouette figure could have been? What about my grandmother's voice calling my name when she wasn't there? What was that about? Update, I called my grandmother. She thinks the house was in Grove Hill. She doesn't remember being told about anything strange happening. I tried looking up cemeteries in that town. I also couldn't find one that matched my memory. Who knows if the house is even standing? Also, someone posted about static people, and that is 100% what I saw. What the fuck is static people? I've never heard of that. Hold on. Static people. What is that? Oh, hell no. No, 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 no. What the fuck is that? What is this? Y'all, no. Immediately, no. What? What the? That is. That is significantly more scary to me than the idea of shadow people, dude. That is horrifying. Fuck no, that is horrifying. Jesus Christ. There's not even a lot of images of it, actually. There's like a very small amount of images of this shit. Look. Of people's recreations of what it is. Something about that I find very unsettling, specifically because you know the way that EMPs work and like not EMPs, that's not the word I'm looking for. What do you call those? The things Sam and Colby use, the radio thingy majingers. I forgot what they're called. REM pods that they work with like uh frequencies and stuff. And if you actually know anything about science, a frequency has a lot to do with absolute, like it is everything around you. It is absolutely everything. It is color, it is everything. Um so the fact that they look like static frequency is just, I don't know, I find that a little more concerning, if anything. And by a little I mean a lot more concerning. That is, whatever that is, probably had a lot of energy. That's all I'm saying. Maybe, perhaps. Um Did your grandma pass away around that time period? No, she's still alive. She's 92, going strong. W grandma. W grandma. Um, that specific dog almost never used to bark. Just two other dogs. One day he came into my room because of fireworks. It's like Selene Delgado from Channel 5, but a bit worse. Hell nah. Hell nah. If anybody, if you guys don't know who Selena Delgado is, don't look it up. If you want to sleep, don't look it up. It's like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a scary story from Mexico, but I don't know what I would explain it as. It's pretty, I don't know if I would explain it like a creepy pasta sort of deal, sort of, kind of, in a way. What? Wait. A weird experience I had when I was 4 years old. Uh, this is by Minty Place, lol. When I was four, for some reason, me and my sister were on the walkway. We live in a flat. She was 7 at the time. And I shut my eyes really hardly, while staring at this house. And I saw this figure that looked like a woman from the 1600s. So I told my sister, and she said that she also had the same experience. Looking back to it, it was really weird. I also remember when I was 5 to 9, I would feel this presence curl up and cuddle next to me when I would be home alone, watching something on my phone or TV. I would say to it, "You can watch with me if you don't hurt me." At this point, I might have been married to it. That's all I can really remember. If anyone shares, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? At this point, I might have been married to it? What does that mean? What's that supposed to mean? No. Hell no. Hell no. I saw a wisp of smoke when my dog sneezed. Okay. Does your dog smoke by any chance? By any chance? Oh, this is creepy. Paranormal experiences at our family farm. Family farms are haunted, y'all. They are for sure. If there is a place where I'm like, yeah, family farms, for sure. For sure. It's supposed to be like a program to find people missing, but Selena Delgado was weird as hell, and they put it on national TV by the night. Oh. But like, she was real? Was she real? I thought she was a creepypasta. Um, our family farm has been in our family for generations upon generations. Everyone was born there and died there. See? You see my point? Many under suspicious circumstances. My 93-year-old grandfather, W. grandfather, and his brother were the last to be born there in the 1930s. My great uncle, uncle? My great uncle was the last to die there back in 2013, found by the fence. Oh, huh. He had a blunt. Oh, wait, what? What the fuck? He had a blunt force trauma to the back of his head, and there was like a fire set, assuming to hide evidence. But instead of engulfing him, it looked like someone or something protected his body perfectly, like a circle around him that preserved his body. Huh. My great uncle always wore Old Spice deodorant, and every time my dad and I walked through the small hallway, we always smell it out of nowhere. In the living room, I always had a gut feeling that someone was sitting in a red chair in the corner, and I would never sit there. My dog would never go in, and my young niece, wouldn't either. When she was really little, she pointed and said ghosts, and has never been back in there. Huh. This is the craziest experience I've had, though. Oh, that wasn't crazy? Your uncle being surrounded by fire wasn't crazy? Okay. We have a screened-in porch on the back with a hanging porch swing. In the summertime, it's warm and there's a perfect breeze. I set a 30-minute timer to take a nap on the porch swing. We all know the house is probably haunted, but that's family, so we're comfortable. Um, I guess that's fair. I drifted off the porch swing and slightly pushed myself off of it so I could swing slightly, and I took my nap. I woke up after my 30-minute alarm and I opened my eyes and my porch swing was still strongly swinging. It had been 30 minutes, and I barely pushed it to start. There are two chains that hold up the swing by either side. The swinging was coming from one side primarily, like somebody was pushing the swing, but only from the left side, or the left chain. I bolted up and ran across the screen porch and looked. Obviously, nobody was there, and the porch swing immediately stopped swinging. It spooked me enough to not try that again. Huh. The swing incident happened last summer. And I do feel bad because it was probably my great grandmother or someone maternal in the family just trying to push me on the porch swing. Now, I leave a bit of bourbon beside the red chair in the family living room and always wave when I pass by. I'll apologize for the long windedness of this story, but appreciate the time if you stayed. Huh. Yeah, the first comment, love the story, but can we circle back to your uncle? I feel like we skipped over that too fast. You think? Oh, she actually did reply. Okay, she's like, okay, yes, that's on me. My great uncle, what is up with me saying my great uncle? What is up with me and ankles? Damn. I swear I am not a man from the 1800s, dude. I swear I don't have some weird ankle fetish. I promise. My great uncle fought in World War II and had some trouble with alcohol for most of his life and was involved with a crazy woman, but he died sober. A sober good man. His murderer was the woman he had been involved with prior. She was hoping to get her hands on his will to take the farm. What we've pieced together is that she pulled up to the house and killed him by hitting him over the back of the head with a blunt object. Not sharp, but like a bat, maybe. And then broke in the house and ransacked it looking for the wills. Papers were all over the place, document IDs, everything was in disarray, but she couldn't find the will, either before or after she broke into the house. She tried to set fire to the body, but it didn't work. My great uncle's last FU was that he had just written her out of his will and torn up the old one. The will she was looking for was long gone by the time he did this. Oh. The old wench is dead and burning in hell now, but at his funeral, my dad was out back smoking, and she pulled up in her car, rolled the window down, and asked if this was his funeral. My dad knew it was her, and the bitch drove off. Such a freak. Tried to pull up to his funeral after killing him. Man. This was him in the late 50s. Very handsome. Okay. Okay. That's a... I feel like that's something you would try to seek. If he's haunting the place, it's probably because y'all didn't seek any sort of, like, prosecution. And if his body wasn't burnt, they should have probably done something about it. The voice announcer makes it worse. He says, pedimos ayuda para localizar a las siguientes personas. Uh, we're asking for help to localize the following people. I think people say that it was a fake picture used to get some people's reaction, but it was never solved. I've heard that. I don't know if she was a real person, though. Like, I don't know if she was. If anybody knows that, I would love to know if Selene Delgado was a real person. I don't know. I am unsure. Oh, this is in... What the fuck? This is in Korean. Hold on. I actually want to know what this is about. It's long as hell, though. It is very long. Hold on. Wait, this is in Korean. This is Japanese, I think. If it's Japanese, it's got to be good. It's got to be good. They've got some great stories, dude, I swear. Google Translate. This is gonna be the last one that I do just because I'm curious to know what it's about. Okay. Last night, or rather this morning for most of you since I live in Japan. I told you I was Japanese, okay? Um Also I'm being blinded. I am being absolutely flashbanged by there we go. Um I posted my first personal ghost story on this community. If you read it, thank you. I'd like to share another story tonight, but before I do, I think I should explain how I personally feel about ghosts and the paranormal. If you're only interested in the story itself, feel free to skip. Blah blah blah. I suspect that ghosts, or rather the things that people perceive as ghosts, might actually be a type of phenomenon we don't fully understand. They could be a form of energy, perhaps, or a kind of signal that only certain people are able to pick up on. I feel the same way about it. I don't think that they're actual like people. I think it's more of like residual energy that just like loops over and over again with like what do you call it? People that have had like really bad traumatic events that would likely release a lot of energy. I feel like that's probably what it is. But whatever. Um I've met some people who claim to have psychic abilities. A friend of my mother was one of them. She would sometimes warn my mother and her friends that if she sensed a malevolent presence nearby, oh, sorry. She would sometimes warn my mother and her friends that she sensed a malevolent presence nearby, and every time she did it, it would absolutely terrify everyone. That said, I don't think I'm that kind of person. It has never even crossed my mind that I might have psychic powers or any special gifts. I'm just an ordinary person. Even so, I've experienced a few things that defy explanation. To be more precise, these strange events didn't necessarily happen directly to me. They tended to occur around me or to people close to me. Some were fleeting moments where I thought that was a bit odd, but others were genuinely terrifying, like the story I posted earlier today. Honestly, I've always assumed that regardless of whether you believe in ghosts or not, everyone experiences something like this once or twice in their lifetime. I figured maybe I just happened to experience them a little more often than average, or perhaps watching too many horror movies back in college skewed my sense of normalcy. Well, I guess no one really knows for sure though, but I realized something when I started sharing my stories with friends. Most people had never experienced anything even remotely similar, so I looked back on my own life, and looking back, there is one specific event that might have been a starting point. Now, I can't help but wonder if that was when the strange experiences began, but I'll save that story for another time. Why are you edging us? Why are you edging us? Alright, whatever. After I shared a few of my experiences, one of my friends got excited and said, "You should tell these stories to more people." That encouragement is one of the big reasons why I'm here now. A lot of my friends aren't really into ghost stories, so I used to feel a bit guilty whenever I talked about them. But horror fans, on the other hand, actually want to hear them. So I thought, what if I told them in English instead of Japanese? Maybe more people around the world would enjoy them. So even though my English isn't perfect, I decided to create a Reddit account. I'm hoping that horror fans like you guys would be open to hearing them. If I kept forcing stories on my friends who hate horror, they'd probably stop picking up my calls after all. Anyways, I got a little sidetracked there. So where was I? Right. Lately, I don't think I have any sort of psychic ability, but for reasons that I still don't fully understand, certain events triggered a series of strange experiences. I'm in my 30s now, but these kind of things happened much more frequently when I was a teenager. I've noticed that. Why is that? A little cultural tidbit, love that. There's an old Japanese saying that children belong to the gods until they turn 7. Originally, this reflected the fragility of life for children in the past, a time when so many didn't survive long enough to reach adulthood. Even today, we have a traditional festival called Shichi Go-san 753 to celebrate the healthy growth of children at those specific ages. You probably heard people in your own country say things like, "I could see ghosts when I was a kid, but I can't anymore." And I think it's a pretty universal experience. As a Japanese person, the old idea that young children are somehow closer to the spiritual world always resonated with me intuitively. But ironically, the event that I believe kicked off all my strange experiences happened right around the time when I was 7. Before that, nothing. Not a single mysterious experience, so I guess I missed my chance? Question mark. A few days ago, life unexpectedly left me to a small Buddhist temple in the Japanese countryside, and that's where I live now. It had nothing to do with ghosts. I was just looking for a place to live for work, and someone introduced me to this spot. It's a small temple, but I fell in love with it almost instantly. The first thing that I noticed was the scent, then the quiet atmosphere. It had an incredibly calming vibe. Strangely enough, ever since I moved here, I haven't had a single inexplicable experience. Maybe living in a temple has something to do with it, or perhaps my job keeps me from places where those kinds of strange things tend to happen. Honestly, I don't know which it is. So if I had to describe myself simply these days, it would just be this, just an ordinary person living in a rural Japanese temple. Ordinary, right? Um, Someone who doesn't think that they have any psychic powers, but who, for some reason, keeps collecting stories that defy explanation. Sorry for such a long introduction. If you read this far, thank you truly. Now it's time for the main story. This happened when I was 10 years old. In my entire life, there has only been one instance, where I believe I actually encountered the Kuchisaki Onna, the slit mouthed woman. As you read this, I hope you can recall how it feels like to be a child. Okay, for those of you who don't know, the Kuchisaki Onna, a slit-mouthed woman, is, let me give you a little background. If you're a fan of Japanese horror, you've likely seen her somewhere before, whether it is in a movie, a manga, or even a video game. I'm not sure if in elementary school kids today are still afraid of her, but back when I was a child, practically every kid in Japan knew who she was. She wasn't just another run-of-the-mill ghost story, she was the ghost story. The Kuchisaki Onna is one of Japan's most famous urban legends. So I would say it's like the equivalent of La Llorona to Mexicans, basically. According to the legend, a woman wearing a surgical mask approaches you at night and she asks, "Am I beautiful?" If you answer, "Yes, you are," she slowly removes her mask, revealing a mouth slit wide open from ear to ear. Then she asks, "Even now?" They say that depending on how you answer, you'll meet a gruesome fate. In short, you die. Naturally, elementary school kids rack their brains trying to figure out how to survive an encounter with her. Just as kids today swap cheat codes for video games, we used to share survival strategies with one another. There were countless rumors. For instance, there was the story that when she was alive, a doctor botched a surgery, leaving her face horribly disfigured and her mouth permanently slit like that. Apparently, the doctor always wore pomade in his hair, so the story was that if you shouted "pomade, pomade, pomade" 3 times, she would panic and run away. Okay. Another rumor was that she loved beko ame, a traditional hard Japanese candy made from caramelized sugar. If you offered her that, she would happily accept it and you'd be safe. Yet another strategy was to answer like this: "You look average." The reasoning was that she already knew she wasn't beautiful. If you told her she was pretty, she'd likely get angry, thinking you were making fun of her. Calling her ugly would, of course, be even worse. But saying she looked average, being brutally honest, in a way, was said to calm her down. There were plenty of other theories too. Some people said you just had to outrun her. There were even theories based on completely different logic, but the first three were the ones that I knew was everyone was familiar with. As for me, even at 10 years old, I couldn't help but overthink things. Same. Same. If I were the slit mouthed woman and someone brought up the doctor who ruined my face, I'd fly into a rage. Yeah, uh, I'd probably want to kill the person who mentioned it. And if somebody looked at my horribly disfigured face and calmly said, I guess you look average, I'd probably think, "Oh, really? Then I'll make your face look just like mine." So in my mind, there was only one survival method that truly made sense: handing over the candy. Back in elementary school, I took a few after school classes. Swimming was one of them. Practice usually ended late, so the school provided a bus to take us near our homes. I'd always get off a little past 9 o'clock at night, but something went wrong that day. I've forgotten the details now, but the bus left about 30 minutes later than usual. By the time I got off, it was nearly 10 o'clock, and to get home, I had to leave the main road and walk down a narrow side street. The road was barely wide enough for one car, just tight enough that another vehicle could squeeze past if it really tried. There was only one street light between the entrance of that road and my house. Normally, it wasn't particularly dark there, even at 9 o'clock. The street was usually well lit by the lights from nearby houses and the glow from a small shop's parking lot. But by 10 o'clock, most households were asleep, and the shops had long since closed. Everything around was pitch black. The only remaining light came from a single street lamp situated roughly halfway between me and my house. I remember thinking to myself at that moment, I don't really want to walk there, but there was no other way home. So, I took a deep breath and started walking. I kept my eyes fixed on the streetlight. I didn't run, but I walked as fast as I could. I was carrying my wet swimsuit in my shoulder bag, which also had a small drawstring pouch, the sturdy kind Japanese elementary school kids use, tangled up with it, hanging off the side of my school backpack. Suddenly, clatter, my bento chopstick case slipped out of the pouch and hit the ground. I stopped, I crouched down, Relying on the faint light from the street lamp, I searched for the case and I found it. I picked it up, then I stood back up, and I looked ahead, and somebody was standing under the street light. A tall woman. She was wearing a trench coat and a wide brimmed hat. She hadn't been there just a few seconds before. I thought my heart was going to stop. I was terrified. The road was straight. Yeah, it continues past the house and connects to another road, so theoretically, it wouldn't be impossible for somebody to walk over from that direction. But there's no way she could have made it all the way to the streetlight in the few seconds I looked away. Maybe she came out from a nearby house, but I didn't hear the sound of a door opening. And what's more confusing is that the whole neighborhood was silent. No sound of footsteps, no sound of doors, no voices, nothing at all. I couldn't take my eyes off of her. That's it? That's the ending? That's the ending? No way. No way that's the ending, dude. No. What? That can't be the ending. That is a horrible cliffhanger. That deserves jail time. Honestly, that deserves jail time. Oh, okay, no, no, it's not over. It's not over. My bad, my bad. Okay, it cut off part of it for some reason. My bad, my bad, my bad. No, we are not leaving on a cliffhanger. There's no way in hell. Okay. Where is it? 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 Okay. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Um, that was when I realized she was standing there with her head slightly bowed. Seen from the side, I understood she was wearing a mask. Kusi Chakeona. It had to be her. Long black hair, a trench coat, a white brimmed hat, bright red high heels. She's a baddie. She's a baddie, okay? And a surgical mask. She looked exactly like the figure from the stories every Japanese child knows. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it myself. Even in my panic, for some reason, I remembered something. Inside the small drawstring pouch attached to my backpack, the one that I kept my chalkstick case in, I had put some bekuame, hard candy, just in case I ran into the slit mouthed woman. There was just one problem, though. I had become completely addicted to that candy. All the way home from swimming practice, I'd been happily popping one after another into my mouth. I didn't eat them all, did I? I was supposed to save them for the slit mouthed woman. Idiot. I had to check. Trying not to make any strange noises that might provoke the woman standing under the streetlight, I slowly slipped my backpack off my shoulder. Carefully, I undid the drawstring and looked inside. There was one left, just a single piece. I felt a wave of relief, so much that I almost cried. But then I remembered another problem. That candy wasn't just ordinary bekuame. It was a popular Japanese treat called junsuyu, made by UHA Mikakutu. Each bag contained two different flavors. One was the classic bekuame, and the other was black tea flavor, which meant that there was a 50-50 chance that whether the candy I was holding was the right one. It was too dark to tell a difference. The two types differed slightly in color, but under the dim streetlight, they looked almost identical. My head was spinning. Would the slit-mouthed woman accept the dark brown one, or would she get angry thinking this isn't the real bekuame candy and tear her mouth open wide and kill me? I prayed silently. Please, the dark brown one is probably tastier. Surely she'll forgive me. I clutched the candy as tightly as I could. I took a deep breath, adjusted my backpack, and stood up. The woman was gone. The space beneath the streetlight was empty. I hadn't heard any footsteps. I hadn't heard a thing. And she simply vanished. I froze completely for a few seconds, then I sprinted. I ran past the streetlight as fast as my legs could carry me and burst right through the front door. My mother immediately scolded me for slamming the door shut so hard, loudly, late at night. But hearing her voice was the most relieved I've ever felt in my entire life. Only then did I open my hand to look at the candy I'd been clutching. It was the dark brown one. In the end, I ate it. It was delicious. For a while after that, I made sure to carry both flavors separately. After all, I had encountered the slit-mouthed woman right near my house, just a few minutes away. I thought it was better to be prepared, but strangely enough, I have not seen her since. Not even once. If any of you ever happen to run into the slit-mouthed woman, please let me know if she accepts the dark brown one. It's been on my mind ever since. And that is the story of the night I met the slit-mouthed woman when I was 10 years old. That is crazy. That is crazy, and it is so sweet. That is actually crazy. Holy. If that wasn't a real story, it was still great storytelling. I gotta give it to him. That was really good writing. That was amazing writing, actually. That was pretty freaking good. I can't even lie about it. It was really good.